with me here is the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, and the Daily Nation again, and the Daily Nation again. So if you have the Standard out there, tuambie headline ya Standard inasemaje. Leo tuko na Daily Nation na Business Daily. We're having the conversation with Edwin. I will allow him to introduce himself first before we get into the details of the papers. And remember, today is World Social Justice Day. World Day for Social Justice. It was ratified by the United Nations in 2007 of November, and member states began to mark it from 2009. We are part of those member states of the United Nations, and this is supposed to enhance collaboration on the international front in ensuring that there's full employment. Right now we are speaking employment. There is also, decent work, promoting decent work. Watu wanafanya kazi ambayo inaleta dignity to you as a human being, and also equity when it comes to matters of employability. Are we balancing it out when it comes to these roles of work? So we'll be getting into that conversation later. And I see the papers also have a lot to speak about social justice or lack of thereof, which means social injustice that is happening within our republic. We'll be touching on it on this occasion that we are hoping to celebrate. But first, Edwin, welcome back to the show, bro. Reintroduce yourself to our audience, alafu tuangalie kuna semaje huko.
Okay, my name is Oiko Edwin. I'm the chairman for Kenya Youth Forum Initiative, and I'm also the spokesperson for Maroroi Youth Power. That is a growing initiative which is a grassroots level, because we all start from charity begins at home before we serve the rest of the other people. Very
nice. So the youth of Maroroi, the youth of Roysambu pia, sindio?
Yeah.
And your two sides.
Yeah.
You can be looking out for what Edwin has prepared for you on that end. Daily Nation, top of the headlines there. The editor this morning decided to call it Death Traps in Schools. And every Tuesday going forward, I think from 2 weeks ago, the Daily Nation has been publishing public disservice. A lot of tongue twisting there. Public disservice that we are experiencing as a nation. And today they're focusing on more of the disservice that is happening within the schools. Death traps in schools. Families of children here, there's an image or there's a collage of images of these children who died in schools under unclear circumstances and are demanding answers for the tragedies. More alarming is the congestion in learning institutions. One primary school in Mwiki, which is a neighbor of Edwin, has 5,000 pupils crammed in an area the size of a football pitch that some teachers are warning it's a disaster waiting to happen. So they have here these children who died under unclear circumstances, and page 7 and 8 is where you can get this full story of some of these classrooms which are having more learners than possible. Learners are sharing beds in areas which are prohibited. For that, there's very little spacing between these. Corridors are very tiny within the institutions. There are no doorways. There are no escape routes in case of fire or any emergencies. Pit latrines is not even a conversation we can have today. Most of these primary schools, which we have turned to become polling stations, have not enough of these facilities. Edwin, this is where we begin our conversation of the day. Public disservice.
Public disservice.
Yeah.
First, these death traps in schools. There's no mechanism to tell us what actually happened, because I can see some parents want to know what happened to their children.
Yeah.
If you look at what is written on page 7 and 8. So the Ministry of Health should introduce a mechanism whereby they should clearly elaborate what are the causes of those deaths.
Yeah.
And then they should have a health mechanism that should do checkups in these institutions and schools.
Yes.
Because I saw they eradicated the Edu Afya in education, the scheme from Uhuru.
Yes.
Let me ask a question. If my child is in Kisumu, and maybe there is an health issue with that child, so will I send my NHIF from here to Kisumu to go and cater for my child's health concerns?
Yes.
So, issues such as the health And the food security and the hygiene in schools should be looked upon clearly so that they can clearly tell us what are the main causes of these dead traps in schools.
Right. Inadequate sanitation facilities, and I think that's an important point to make there, that the Ministry of Health should also be involved. This is not just the sole responsibility of the Ministry of Education, which is failing clearly, but the Ministry of Health should also have a look at taking regular checkups to see whether there is enough that poses health risks within these institutions, and also the unanswered queries over children's death. Imagine your child dying in school and you have no answers of exactly what happened. We have institutions here which have been mentioned. Tumutumu Girls High School, from one student who died last week after she complained of severe chest pains and headache. We have Rio Kindo High School, all the way in Kisii. The parent who feel their son will be alive today, why is that they were not informed that he was unwell. So health risk, no information whatsoever. Godrich International School, where a student was once seen alive and then seen no more, died 9 hours after they left their home for school. Probes are ongoing, but according to the Daily Nation here, 43 is the number of days the nation took to track down these cases of the death of learners in schools under unclear circumstances, but the ministry has taken its sweet time in getting us answers. So you can read more about the death traps in schools and the safety standards manual, which have been published here at the front of the Daily Nation. At the bottom there, we see President William Ruto with his entourage of Deputy Rigathi Gachagua, cabinet secretaries during a national executive retreat. And you should be aware of this if you're following politics, that the Kenya Kwanza MPs were meeting the president. Hey, I'm doing a lot of public service to this pronunciation. But there was a consultative meeting at Lake Naivasha Resort. Na President William Ruto has one word to his MPs. Nimkue loyal ama ship out. But I felt that they've been loyal so far. I don't know what your view is like from your end, given that every policy that President William Ruto has been pushing to Parliament,
every policy has been going through, but most of these, this was a political meeting, that is from the Kenya Kwanza MPs. So he is the leader in that sector or in that political arena. So if he is the leader, he actually expects that is total loyalty. But you should understand that even the MPs who are also elected by the people they represent. So it is a two-way loyalty that they should give us. That is the loyalty to the party leader or the coalition leader, and loyalty to the people they represent.
Okay. So it can't be total loyalty, as you're saying. I think hapo ndio tunakosa President Ruto.
Yeah, it can't be total loyalty because they also have to have loyalty to those who elected them to those seats. Even if the ticket they used was for their party leader, but also they should look at the representation to Parliament.
Lately, though, people have been saying that we have among the weakest parliaments that we've ever had so far. Now, when you say, loyalty to the president and loyalty to the people, it seems it's really hard for them to, maintain that kind of loyalty both ways. Is it possible to serve two masters from this point of view of a member of parliament?
Actually, there will be no two masters because both the representatives, that is the president and the MPs, both are representatives of the people. So if the president's ideologies are to the people, then the members of parliament should give loyalty to that policy, which is also
to the people.
But if it is not to the people, it is to the self-interest of individuals and leaders, then that I don't think if it shall be of loyalty to any of those leaders.
Okay. Yeah. So page 5 of the Daily Nation is where you get these details of the retreats that happened. And Kenya Kwanza members of parliament, I think I should pick it up from there, have also said that they are endorsing Raila Odinga should he emerge victorious. It will be a win for Kenya. It will be a win for Odinga and a win for Kenya if he clinches the top seat. So if you're not aware, as of the moment, Raila Amolo Odinga, the official leader of the opposition, has declared his interest in the top seat at the African Union. He's currently serving as a special envoy in matters of infrastructure for the African Union. He's been holding that capacity for the past 2 years, I believe, and now he's hoping once this top seat falls vacant in January of 2025 that he should be getting support from all over the continent for him to go to the top seat. So amejaribu top seat hapa locally, si ndio?
Yeah,
5 times to be president. Do you feel like he is fit for the top seat at the African Union to be the people's president for 54 plus countries in the continent?
Yeah, you know, he has tried to be, he has vied for presidency in our country for a very long period.
Yeah.
But, you know, the margin that is defeated with is just a narrow margin. That means that he is the president of the people, but the president of the republic is His Excellency William Ruto. So with the way he has performed his duties and struggling for the people for those years, he is correctly right to vie for the AU, because the interest he has is for the people. It's not about individualism or what he has been trying to. So vying for the top AU seat is just a win for Kenya as a country. That shows his patriotism to Kenya, that is to represent us in the AU. And the seat being the topmost in Africa actually is best for Raila. It is high time, because you know he has vied 5 times for the presidency in our country, and so if those 5 times should be given to him at the AU top seat, because this will be the 5th election of the AU seat. So I guess it's the 5th.
Is the 5th still? Okay, that's actually going to be very apt. Maybe now finally, you know, a reward to him after all the 5 times of trying.
He should take the 5th.
Now
as
the 5th as the AU chairperson. Still, Raila Odinga's dreams of being the 5th, I think, are very alive and valid. Right. So he's been the special envoy in terms of infrastructure to this region, and he's also received support from other leaders, not just inside of Kenya, but even outside. We saw the former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo, also gaining support for Raila Odinga, saying that this is a statesman who's fit to, you know, represent Africa in whatever matters that we need to discuss with other regions. You know,
vying for an African Union seat, that is a continental drift. So he'll need to do campaign also in those other countries, because we cannot say that if we endorse him as a country alone, he might take the seat. Because the seat there is elected by people from all the countries or the member states in the African Union seat. And you know, Raila going for the top AU seat, that is, if he takes, then the politics in our country 2027 might have a diverse twist, because we don't know who will be now the taker of Raila's path.
Okay, who's going to fit the shoes? Which is actually a very good thing to bring up. Do you think that the Azimio side has enough strength to front someone to pick up Raila's role where he's left it? The governor of Homa Bay, I believe that should be Her Excellency Gladys Wanga. She stated a few days ago that she's very confident that even as Raila, if Raila clinches that seat, Azimio is still very strong, haitakuwa shaken. Do you feel like they really do have? I haven't seen, personally speaking, someone who's worthy of fitting in his shoes.
You know, when the time comes, that the right person will just clearly show himself out. But you know, Raila has various strategies that, if you look at his politics, it is very strategic. As you can see, he has been going around doing registration, that is a registration drive for his political party, not the Azimio, but the political party individually, that is ODM. That means he's strengthening his party from the grassroots level, and that's the tactic he's using. So we might not be able to be aware or to be sure of what are his plans, but it clearly indicates that there are some strategies that he's looking for someone, or he already has someone that he's doing. That is the grassroots for that level.
But he could as well be using this chance as a campaign means for 2027. It still goes for the top seat. I wouldn't mind though, given we already have President William Ruto as the chairperson at AU in terms of climate change. So if we have, President William Ruto in leading heads of states and government in that capacity. And then we have Raila Amolo Odinga as the head of the African Union. I think I have to say, for the first time, I'll be very proud to be a patriotic Kenyan. Tutakuwa tuna lead continent in all ways.
In all ways. Actually, recently from the AU meeting that we had, our president was chosen to be the representative of institutional reforms in AU. He took over the role from Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda.
Nice.
So if he is the institutional reform representative in AU, that means that Raila's top seat, that is a top AU seat bid, might have a little bit challenge, because there are opposition here, and the other side, our president is
in the deep state of the AU.
In the deep state already. In the AU.
Okay, so we'll be following up to see exactly how this develops, but he's received support from both sides.
Yeah.
We are hoping maybe even President William Ruto pia akimpatia endorsement, inamaanisha presidents wengine wanaweza mpatia endorsement.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Kiptum. On page 2 of the Daily Nation, a forensic team has been dispatched to probe Kiptum's road crash. Champion and his coach were on their way to watch the AFCON football tournament final last week on Sunday, and then an accident happened in that Eldoret Kaptagat Eldama Ravine Road, where marathon world record holder Kevin Kiptum lost his life. What were your initial reactions? We lost a very young life here last week, 24-year-old world champion, beaten all the records, personal best, world record best, and was looking to even do more this year. It was a very sad situation last week, and now we are seeing the government doing efforts as well to, of course, determine the exact cause of death, but also to give something to the family in terms of building him a home and maybe supporting the people that he's left behind. What are your sentiments on this?
It is very saddening, because we lost a champion, that is a sports champion, and a very young person indeed. I saw the age he had was 24 years. That is still a youth in trying to transition to an adulthood.
Yeah.
So if we lost such kind of a champion, nearly heading to, there were sports that you were supposed to attend to in the near future.
Yeah.
That means that we have lost one of our current champions that will champion us that sports that were arranged. And this gives a stiff competition or a stiff notice to the administration for sports affairs, because they should now bring about mechanisms to make sure that our sports champions are safe and are accorded to, and they should be given up checkups so that we don't end up losing good championship within sports areas.
Yes, I remember Wanjiru also from some time back. I think that's an important one to note, that we keep our athletes safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the death of Kiptum being a champion in sports, this clearly indicates how our young youth are, because the death cases of youth in this new generation is actually increasing. So this is clearly shows that our youth with great ambitions, great dreams, and great capabilities are leaving our continent, and losing very energetic people.
We are losing a future.
We are losing a future.
Yeah.
So the youth should be looked upon clearly.
Okay. At a larger context, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I think because of time, we won't be able to go through many of the stories that are here in the Daily Nation, but there's an interesting one on the healthy nation at the middle there. Why I want doctors to end my life. I think you should read it today as you meditate and ponder upon your life and the direction of your life. There's a young man called, as we are speaking about young people and losing young people very early, Joe Mudukiza, who has spent the better part of his life fighting sickle cell anemia and now wants to be assisted to end his life. There's a loophole within our healthcare and a legal system that could enable this young man, 28-year-old, to die in assisted death. So the headline there in the Healthy Nation says, "Kill me quick, the man with a death wish." Page 4 and 5. Read for yourself. And maybe you can let us know on our social platforms what your thoughts are of that kind of story. This is World Day for Social Justice, Edwin.
Yeah.
Why is it important that we have a look at social justice even when we talk matters of social development?
talking about social justice. It's talking about equality.
Yeah.
Talking about equality is talking about the people. So if there are policies put across in our nation, then they should look about the equality of the people in all areas, and look about how these people are struggling to fight for their lives. And you know, in this new era that we have seen most of these civil society organizations, and most probably our country has developed that it has now reached to a certain area that we have social justice centers who are fighting for the people's rights, because that's a people's movement, you know. So it is very good for a country and a nation to elaborate clearly on what social justice means to the people, because most of the people do not really understand what social justice is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're speaking equality. Are we talking in terms of gender or in terms of balancing out even with the youth, giving them necessary opportunities?
Actually, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Equality and representation.
Okay.
Equality in participation and equity, because equality and equity are two different things. So equity is among the key arenas or areas that social justice looks upon, and human rights perspective, because the Constitution provides people with rights. So those rights should be protected and should be looked upon clearly. So if we talk about social justice, this means that the people's rights that are endorsed in their laws should be well and keenly taken upon.
Okay.
So, like for example, we saw the last meetup of the government, because we believe the government is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary.
Yeah.
So when the people were lamenting about the Chief Justice meeting with the president,
Yeah.
that wasn't a big issue, the Chief Justice meeting of president, because they are the government. They need to plan on how to make sure that the country is in good accordance. But the problem is that the Chief Justice, if the Chief Justice is the chairperson of the National Council on Administrative Justice, then that means that there will be no referee to take upon if those two merge into different cases. Yeah.
Okay. So we might have blurry lines when it comes to delivery of social justice.
Of social justice.
On that level.
Yeah.
If we were to rank Kenya on a global scale, maybe even on a scale of 1 to 10, how do we perform in terms of social justice to provide equity, decent work, employability, full employment? We have very many ways in which we can scale this, but just generally speaking, how do we stand?
Generally speaking, that I can rank our country at, let's say 6, because the rest of the four remaining out of 10 is because we are good in policy implementation in terms of paperwork.
Okay.
But when it comes to actually implementation of those policies into physical activities, that's where the 4 diminishes to.
We are good in social justice in implementing paperwork.
Paperworks, because
okay, that's a nice way to put it.
Very good policies indeed. Most of those policies and acts that we have is like we have everything that we need in those paperworks. But when it comes to actual implementation of those policies into physical activities, that's where now we draw the line.
Okay. All right. I hope the government is listening and all those stakeholders involved as we celebrate and mark World Day for Social Justice, that we ensure implementation is done. We have very many talks actually. I know of very many workshops and forums that all these conversations happen at, and it's true what you said. We are good at paper, but kuimplement tunamaliza hiyo session, photo session inafanyika, alafu the next year again we are speaking about the same issues. Maybe let us know as we wrap up what you're doing in your own capacity for social justice. I know you're running a couple of organizations which are looking at youth and employability as well, and creativity. So maybe in a short statement you can let our viewers know, and the names of the organizations as well, and what you're up to as we close the show.
Okay, I'd like to wrap up with the Kenya Youth Forum Initiative. The Kenya Youth Forum Initiative, currently we are introducing, that is a Pan-African Youth Empowerment Program. It is in its implementation stage. We are still collaborating with various partners, that is capable partners, who can help us to administer the program into full actualization. Then on the other part, that is Marua Youth Power. These are grassroots movement, and It's about the rights of the people and the young people in Maroroi, that is the youth who are in that sector. The current thing that they want to advocate for is about their social hall and a playing ground, that is a field. And we recently saw our MCA reacted to that, and is helping us to administer, that is our playground. Yeah.
Okay. Some notable achievements that you can mention so far with organizations?
With organizations?
Yes.
Okay. Some notable achievements is that in Kenya Youth Forum Initiative, we have collaborated with various youth initiatives, that is various organizations from various areas, and we have planned for the program, that is the empowerment program, because that's not one individual plan. It's about the youths bringing our minds together. So the plan is what our achievement is at PON. And before the end of this year, the program will be running, that is nationally.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said the area MCA is involved, and is there more support from the government?
More support.
Okay.
There is more support from the government, but you know, the government does not bring the support to us. It is us who should go and seek for those supports.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're seeking rather than waiting for it to get to you.
Yeah.
Asante sana, Edwin, for having this conversation with us, and we are hoping that you continue the efforts, peer now social justice prevails.
Before we wrap up,
yes,
I saw some points on the business daily.
Oh yeah, sure, please.
Page 4, was it? Page 4. Yeah, about the audit. The audit exposes wastage in World Bank Youth Jobs Plan. That is the KIOP, the one that was started in 2016.
KYOP, there's a scandal in that?
There was a scandal.
Oh man.
You can look at it.
Okay.
That is the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project. The project was, okay, it was good. It had good intentions, that is to end job unemployment, but the response or the after results of that project are still the same.
Money was stolen.
Yeah, you can have a look at it. More than 15 billion, all of it, and the results are not. We are still crying with the same issues, that is unemployment. Yeah, and we had a project that could sort that issue. So the only problem with the project was that the project wasn't bad, but you know, the way it was administered, that's where the problem is, because they cannot have tracks of those people they assisted to start businesses and to do what they were doing or to continue the businesses. Yeah. So if they could have administered from the constituencies level, this plan could be in accordance.
So still we are failing on implementation. Yeah. Wastage has been exposed here on that Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Project, which was started in 2016. 15 billion pumped in for a period of 7 years. And there's a report here on the amount of money and where it was spent and the beneficiaries. And there are many of these beneficiaries, they are calling back na hawapatikani kwa simu. Yani ni kama walipata pesa kama wamedip. So there was not much of follow-up being done there. You can read for yourself on page 4 of the Business Daily. Because you picked the Business Daily, I will ask you to read the quote at the back of the Business Daily. The last word there coming from Goti Wolfgang. I believe he's a polymath and writer. What did he have to say?
Okay, the quote here is that knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. That's the quote from John Wolfgang.
Right. Knowing is not enough.
Knowing is not enough.
We must
apply.
Yeah.
Willing is not enough. We must do.
Just like you've said there.
Yeah.
Don't be good on paper and and fail to implement. Yeah.
Yeah.
That has been actually a very consistent theme since we began this show. Every of the speakers who've been here have told us to apply practicability or practicality of all the knowledge that we gain. Thank you for creating time for us here. It's 10:01 and past time on Biashara Tuesday. Allow me to sign off at this point and thank you once more for allowing the whole team here on Biashara Tuesday to bring the show to you once more. We are grateful from my director and producer Ryan Ngure to all the camera operators, transmission desk, graphics, to sound, to the preparation, to the production. There's a lot of involvement and preparation before we bring this show to you. So we're grateful that you can create time as well. Reach out to us on social platforms at KUTV Kenya, personally at Richard_Okenya. The dollar to the Kenyan shillings at the moment 145. Last week when I was on the show, it was at 159. It had dropped by a shilling from 160, and then throughout the week dropped all the way to 140, buying and selling, 120 buying, selling 140. Now it's at 145. So there are a couple of things you can do to take advantage of the dollar and the shilling gaining, which is buy US dollars at the current low price and put them in a USD bank account or invest in a USD money market fund. So eventually when the dollar gains, you will have basically invested and you will get the interest without even getting interest. Your money will appreciate in the money market fund. So think about it, and we'll be back here again on Biashara Tuesday next week on Tuesday to bring you more insights, happenings and reactions in the world of business, economics, politics and technology. At Richard_Kenye, your host for the day. May your profits be high this week, but your jokes higher so that you can laugh all the way to the bank.